The International Criminal Court has allegedly been captured by Qatar in an anti-Israel and sexual assault cover-up. A lot of controversy was swirling around the ICC following the outbreak of the Gaza war, whereby the court decided to issue an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Furthermore, many people thought that this was a little bit of a biased view, especially since they seemed to be targeting Israel without targeting any of Israel's adversaries. But now it seems as if Karim Khan, who is the chief prosecutor of the ICC, has been embroiled in a massive anti-Israel cover-up, as well as his own personal sexual assault accusation cover-up. Now, before we get into this pressing story, could I please remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already? It's completely free, and all you have to do is click on the subscribe button below the video. If you would like to enjoy some additional perks and support the channel, you can do so by becoming a Power Club member. All you have to do is click on the join button below. Now let's get into this. So the accusations against Khan actually came from this article in the Wall Street Journal. So as explained here, the trouble isn't over for Khan. He's the International Criminal Court prosecutor who requested arrest warrants for Israel's leaders in 2024, shortly after learning that he had been accused of sexual assault. He took leave in May 2025, and this month the court's governors voted to advance disciplinary proceedings. Now a witness statement says the Qatari government promised to look after Mr. Khan if he moved against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So it explains here how this actually builds on a previous report in November last year from The Guardian. And we will certainly take a look at that report. But before we do, it's very important that we see this latest update. So it explains how in that November report, the Qatar-linked private intelligence operation by at least two firms, Highgate and Illicit Intelligence, hoped to discredit Mr. Khan's alleged assault victim. The private intelligence operation also sought to target two Americans, Tom Lynch, the senior ICC official who first reported the assault allegation, and Senator Lindsey Graham. Several ICC officials who became targets have been interviewed by the NCTV, the Dutch counter-terror agency, two sources confirm. So in recordings, private investigators discuss their intelligence operations connection to what seems to be Qatar, which they call the client country. In writing, one investigator instructs others to say client to describe Q country. Two sources familiar with the intelligence operation tell us Qatar was ultimately the client. And so the Wall Street Journal has already been able to develop that link, whereby Qatar is the client country. And so it's not as if it's an individual, but rather the state who these intelligence companies are working for. The witness statement says that a source of Illicious had claimed, albeit without providing evidence, that Israel's Mossad believed Mr. Khan to be a Qatari agent. This led the private intelligence team to discuss the ICC prosecutor. I spoke to a client about it, the intelligence operations manager is heard saying in an August 5th recording, and they weren't surprised that it had leaked that they were wrapping their arms around him, around KK, which is code for Karim Khan, a researcher clarified. It's not that long that they wrapped their arms around him, the manager continued, as per the recording and the witness statement. It's all in the context of issuing the warrant. That was basically the deal. He was like, I want to issue the warrant, but I'm terrified to do it. And they said, if you do it, then we'll look after you. And so if these statements are to be believed, Khan was actually hesitant to issue the arrest warrant against Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. However, the Qataris, who are the clients, have said, no problem, we'll look after you, go ahead, issue the warrant, we've got your back. So just to summarize what we see so far, the Qataris appear to have approached these intelligence agencies who then have identified Khan as their client. What then happened is that the Qataris sought to influence Khan by getting him to issue arrest warrants against Netanyahu and Gallant, and while Khan was initially hesitant to do so, the Qataris allegedly said, "It's no problem, you have nothing to fear. If you do this, we have your back." Now, remember how I explained that Khan also had certain sexual assault allegations against him? Well, as we previously saw, The Guardian published an investigation that they did into this matter. And as we take a look at that investigation, all of a sudden the bigger picture becomes a lot clearer. So this is the investigation that we were speaking about, and it explains how the woman who alleged that she was sexually abused by the chief prosecutor of the ICC has been targeted by private intelligence firms as part of a covert operation said to have taken place on behalf of Qatar. The Guardian can reveal details of this intrusive operation, which has obtained sensitive information about the woman who works at the ICC and her family members. According to leaked files seen by The Guardian and people familiar with the operation, one of the firms sought her passport details and other sensitive information, including about her child. A core aim of the intelligence firms was to find evidence that could be used to undermine her credibility and the abuse claims that she had made against ICC prosecutor Karim Khan. So, Khan, a prominent British lawyer, has denied the abuse allegations, and people close to him have suggested the claims are part of an Israel-backed smear campaign in response to his decision to obtain the arrest warrant we spoke about. The private intelligence operation was led by Highgate, as we mentioned before, which is a discreet company based in London's Mayfair district. It describes itself as a strategic advisory firm that advises chief executives and political leaders to manage high-stakes issues. Working with at least one other firm, Highgate sought to establish connections between the woman and Israel, and so all of a sudden we see how they're attempting to fabricate these links. However, documents seen by The Guardian suggest no such evidence was found. People familiar with the activities of the private intelligence firms said its operation was commissioned by a high-level diplomatic unit within the Qatari state. Khan's alleged victim told The Guardian she was appalled by the disturbing operation. The idea that private intelligence firms had been instructed to target me is incomprehensible, as it is heartbreaking. So now that we know about this investigation that's been taking place, it's important for us to understand what Khan was being accused of in the first place. So, Khan's term as ICC prosecutor was thrown into turmoil late last year when the abuse allegations made by the court staffer became public. The woman, a lawyer in her 30s, worked directly for him. Her claims include allegations of coercive sexual behavior and abuse of authority. The alleged sexual misconduct is said to have occurred in hotel rooms during work trips, in Khan's office at the ICC, and at his home. A UN watchdog is investigating her claims. In August, The Guardian reported that a second woman had come forward to the inquiry with allegations that Khan mistreated her while working for him as an unpaid intern earlier in his career. So it didn't take long for Israel's foreign ministry to jump on the story and hit out at Khan directly. And as the foreign ministry said in this post, buying off the ICC prosecutor, Qatar launched an intelligence operation and promised to look after Karim Khan over targeting Israel. When the operations manager was asked if a backing came from a sheikh or the state, he said the state. A crooked prosecutor, a corrupted court. In summary, the ICC and Karim Khan find themselves in quite the spot of trouble. Not only does there seem to be evidence linking Qatar to buying off Karim Khan and influencing his decision to ultimately issue the arrest warrants against the Israelis, but it also appears as if there is a cover-up regarding his alleged sexual misconduct at this point, given that investigations are still ongoing. Still, this will no doubt cause concerns for two reasons. Number one, are Islamist supporters, such as Qatar, continuing to spread their influence over global authorities, and are these sorts of radicals and supporters of radicals actually able to influence world bodies in their decisions? This is a massive cause for concern if proven true. The second issue is really just a question of the legal system's moral compass. If the chief prosecutor of the ICC is indeed found guilty on these counts, what does that say about the political agenda of the ICC and those who run it? This is incredibly problematic, and hopefully the impending investigations will bring the truth to light. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more content. Until next time, I'm Matthew Cohen, and this is the Power Pod.